Welcome to the Rethink Leadership podcast with me, Jeremy Blain. I interview leaders, experts and business professionals from around the world who are bringing leadership principles and know-how into the digitally driven 21st century workplace, with focus firmly on the how-to rather than the what. Each episode is in aid of a charity chosen by my guests, and since 2020, we've made donations to over 80 global and local causes. My guest for today's Rethink Leadership podcast is Scott Grates, an influential entrepreneur and best-selling author amplifying success through relationship marketing. Scott's approach in blending traditional communication into digital strategies offers a unique perspective on tackling business challenges for leaders and their empowered teams. We discuss the changing landscape for leaders in a digital world and deep dive into the importance of the personal, very human touch in engaging customers, employees and partners. Scott discusses his powerful Infinite Referral Advantage system to help leaders do just that. This episode is in aid of the Help Us Help Foundation, founded by Dr. Saf Buxi, assisting in communities in crisis, in alleviating poverty and helping to raise living standards globally. We've made a donation as a thank you to Scott for joining us. Scott, thanks very much for joining me. Please introduce yourself, your business, and your passion about leadership today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Jeremy. I'm excited about the conversation. My story is really all about adaptability, grit, faith, and ultimately relationships and the power of relationships today more than ever in this digitally distracted and dominated world, really bringing the human touch back to relationships. I guess I'll pick up in 2008. I was actually with HSBC, a British-based company, in 2008 when the financial crisis hit the globe. I was relieved of my duties with 6,500 people in North America, and a window closes, a door opens, and I was for the first time, always had an entrepreneurial spirit, but for the first time, I took the plunge. And I started an insurance agency without knowing anything about insurance or owning a business. And this is where the adaptability and grit and faith part comes in. We have since expanded to multiple agencies, seven-figure revenue, 14 agents on the team. And about 10 years ago, I realized there was a need for coaching, consulting, training in this space. And so I started a training and a consulting business, which now also has a dozen employees and generates seven figures in revenue. Picked up a real estate holding company along the way and wrote 3 books. The most recent, Referrals Done Right, which is really a book about the power of relationships. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, well, not for the first time in my podcast. I feel like I've achieved nothing in my life. So thanks for that.
Yeah. Well, the funny part is, I still feel that way. I do have this mindset around, it's just a win the day approach, where I have very clear, and we can get into this as leaders too. I challenge my team to have just 1 or 2 attainable, clearly defined goals for today. And then we just focus on achieving those goals and earning the right to come back for the next day. So the past 15 years has really just been a series of first years for me all over again. And then we work that backwards into what does a winning quarter look like? What does a winning month look like? And then ultimately, what does a winning day look like today? So we can leave here at 5 o'clock with our heads high that we got the most important things done. And so that's really been the formula.
Yeah, I love that statement that you made just before that. Gain the right to come back the next day. What a great attitude as a leader. Is that what am I going to do today that gives me the right that I'm earning the right to come back? Yeah. And it also sounds like you've got a bit of a magic touch there, Scott, I have to say, around that. So, you've done this at a time when, let's say, there's global financial crisis. We've come into a huge world of digital transformation, accelerated by the pandemic in the early 20s, and so on. So that mix between the being digitally savvy and having that human touch is really important. So before we get into kind of the how and the and whatever, what's important in your business to make it work for everybody when you consider the digital point of view, and I include clients in this, the digital perspective and the human touch?
Yeah, absolutely. In the insurance world, and a lot of industries are like this, but the insurance world especially, everyone is trying to commoditize it. It doesn't matter who you're with or what you have. It's a price dominated message from the traditional marketing standpoint. But the reality is, price only matters in the absence of value. And for me, out of necessity, when I first opened, I had no money. Like I said, I was just laid off. My wife and I had two babies in diapers. She's a school teacher, so you could just imagine what one income, two kids, school teacher, what that looked like. And so I tried to really diversify and have this marketing mix like the big players in my industry. And I was trying to do everything: direct mail, buying internet aggregators, had telemarketers. I was doing TV ads, radio, print at the time. I'll date myself. We had the yellow pages, pre-Google. And so I've been part of this transformation. But the point to that is, when I looked at my return on investment after 1 year in business, there was one outlier, and it wasn't even close to anything else. And it was referrals. It was the power of relationships. Instead of trying to get in front of everyone the same way everyone else was doing it, in this cold, traditional way, and try to reach 10,000, 20,000 people in my market, with the month after month grind, I said, what if I can just get to about 200 key players in my market who are already doing business with people that I want to do business with? So as an insurance agent, that would be car dealers, mortgage brokers, realtors, attorneys. And so I took the power of relationship, and I really went deep with the 200 people who can lead me to the 10,000 people in a warmer way. And that's really when the relationship piece of the puzzle came to fruition in my business. And then we can dive into, how that's impacted my team and office culture as well.
And that has led to that latest book, I take it.
It has, absolutely. Yeah.
Great. That's one on my list already, I think, which I've not. I'm ashamed to say I haven't got yet, but
It just came out, so
all right,
don't be ashamed.
right. Okay, thank you. I won't, but that's definitely. But it's something that resonates with me in my own business as well. Is that I just don't cold sell anymore. It is about referrals, who keeping your network active, and all of those kind of things. So before I get into the nitty gritty of that, how have you built? So you've built these different businesses in very different ways. How have you built them for a digital world?
Yeah, absolutely. And so I don't want to, uh, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that I'm not anti-digital, right? We focus on relationships. We are referral based, but I'm also very, very strong in the SEO space. The reality is, you're not who you think you are in business. You are who your Google reviews say you are. And you're probably not who you think you are as a brand. You are what your social media, your LinkedIn and your Instagram and Facebook says you are. And so, really from a digital standpoint, we make a conscious effort strategically and intentionally every single day to make sure that we are, again, earning the right to get those 5-star Google reviews. We're updating our pictures. We are doing, team building and capturing everything on social. We're providing value and education to our customers and our community. We're giving back to our community in a meaningful way, and capturing all of this and sharing it with the world digitally. And then we run some ads, right? But the whole point to the referrals done right, and ultimately earning referrals without even having to ask for them is, just like your Rethink leadership, everything I do is trying to be contrarian, right? Because it's so easy to just follow the herd and do everything the same way everyone else is. But what can we do differently? How can we rethink the business model? And a big part of that for me has been, just that contrarian approach to everything, right? Just taking that pause and saying, hey, what can we do different? How can we stand out? It's kind of the Seth Godin purple cow mentality. How can we create a unique and memorable customer experience? So I don't know if I answered the question there, but I'll pause and let you
Well,
follow
I'll,
up.
I'll go back to the point that comes across loud and clear is that in the digital world, the human touch is more important than ever.
Yeah.
And getting that right is part of your digital business strategy, is that digital or the tech that sits behind it is the enabler, but it shouldn't get in the way of that human touch which you're mining successfully, and that presumably your team is mining successfully. Would I be right?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a culture. It is a mindset. You know, if you call one of my insurance agencies and you want to quote, the first question is, Jeremy, who referred you to our agency? Right. And it just, everything starts with that referral mindset.
Yeah, I understand. And what I'd like to do here, Scott, is sort of bring those two things together, that
Mhm.
the business strategy for a digital world and yet that intensely human touch. So you've been talking about a lot about communication and that human touch. So tell us a little bit more detail how you feel traditional, let's call them communication methods and human-centered communication methods, could actually revolutionize your strategy for a digital world.
Yeah, I mean, well, everything that's how we communicate to the masses, right? Is through the digital piece. And we take this five-pronged approach to who we're, how we're blanketing our community. We're looking at creating relationships with fellow small business owners. We're connecting with them on social. We're cross-promoting each other through community events, or maybe there's a local coffee shop where I'll say next Friday I'm going to be there from 8 to 9, and I'm going to buy everyone that stops in a coffee, no strings attached, and they promote it and I promote it, and we cross pollinate into each other's markets. I get very active with the schools. The schools, to me, are an absolute gold mine, and a place that a lot of businesses aren't paying enough attention to. These are our future customers. They're our future employees. They're our future leaders. If you want to get to the heart of parents, make an impact on their children. And so we spend a lot of time with schools, and then obviously share that through our digital space to let people know that we do care and we do give back to the community. And along that same line, the third thing is we focus on community service groups and civic organizations. These people are tremendous connectors. Business, as you know, is not linear. And relationships aren't either. So it's not, if I do this, then I'll get that. And that's where some people get a little tripped up, because they're like, well, what's the ROI on your relationship building? And sometimes it's a little tricky, because I may connect with Jeremy, who never does business with me personally, but he may connect me to Joan, and Joan may know somebody, named Frank, and all of a sudden Frank becomes my greatest referral source or customer ever. And so this connection economy, really following your heart, and figuring out what are you passionate about, get involved with those types of groups, and you'll be connected. Your star customers, your customers are an extension of your sales team. And I think a lot of business owners lose sight of this. If I tell you all the reasons why it's awesome to do business with me, that's one thing. But if your brother or friend tells you that it's awesome to do business with me, now I've got that third party validation, and that trust is built in immediately. So we spend a lot of time onboarding, following up with our customers, and deepening those relationships, because they are an extension of our sales team. And then the last piece, which we've talked about a lot already, is social media, right? You have to brag about yourself, and show yourself. And I know that's a little bit uncomfortable for many, but I was at a conference with my company, and Damon John from Shark Tank was one of the speakers, and he did his canned presentation, which was great. But then at the end, he stopped and took Q&A, and the first question was, if you were to start all over again today, what's the first thing you do? And without hesitation, he said, be active on social media, building your personal brand. It's such an amazing time to be in business, because we have these tools digitally. So those are the five approaches we take.
Yeah, and I think reading the background of what you've been doing over the last few years, I'm beginning to understand your infinite referral advantage system, which you've coined and you've trademarked as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the idea there is, instead of just every single month trying to figure out what's the next marketing spend or the ad buy, that machine requires a month-to-month start over. And the Infinite Referral Advantage is just that. Listen, this thing is not quick and easy. No good relationship happens quickly. It takes time, it takes nurturing, it takes your attention. And that's where we get very strategic and intentional with our follow-up system. We have a CRM system for customers. We have a CRM system for our centers of influence and our key relationships to make sure that every 4 weeks we are showing up in a different way. And that could be a handwritten card, that could be a quick email, that could be connecting with you on social, sharing, tagging, promoting something, all different ways. It doesn't have to be in person all the time, but we're making sure that 12, 13 times a year you're seeing or hearing from us so that we have top of mind awareness. And when you think of our products and services, you think to send your people our way. So the Infinite Referral Advantage, for the past 10 years now, we've received over 1,000 new referrals at the insurance agencies from our key relationships. And even if we took our foot off the gas, which we won't, this thing just won't stop. Like, people are excited to refer to us. And so that's really what the infinity piece of that is.
And I can understand that very well. And that is, as you say, understanding where those centers of influence are. But I also like the fact that you talk about showing up in a different way, so that the same person is going to get different flavors of the same business, and some which will resonate probably more than ever. And I like that. And it's almost going back, in some ways it's going back to those traditional methods you talked about. Maybe it's a little card or whatever. I get so very few things through the post these days, it's almost unique. So
Yes.
It's getting something like that. You spend time now looking at it because it's so strange, rather than what I used to do, which is go straight to the trash.
What was once old is new again, and again, it is that balance. We've talked about digital versus traditional, multiple times during this conversation, but it's finding that balance of how can we do both and do both effectively. And the other thing too is now more than ever, especially this next generation, and we see this a lot with employees and working with the schools. You and I don't want to assume, but our generation was money driven. I know I was, like, out of college, it was just, get a job, get a better job, get a promotion, get to that 6-figure income and keep grinding it out. This next generation, a little bit different. They're all about life experiences. They want to be valued. Their work needs to matter. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. Well, it's no different with our customers. And so, really, it's ultimately, that's the human touch, right? I mean, it just showing up in a different way, So to take that a step further with the cards, another thing we'll do is we're very active on social. We connect with our customers and within the community. So if I see that your son, just won the Little League championship or something, right? Parents love to brag and boast, as they should, about their kids on social. I'll send your son a handwritten card, and maybe I'll throw in like a little coupon, for ice cream or something. And that goes such a long way with the kid. The kids remember that. The parents certainly remember that. If you and your wife just celebrated an anniversary, right? I'm not going to send a card this year, but I'm going to make a note that, hey, August 19th is Jeremy's anniversary. And next year, I'm going to make a note the week before to send you an anniversary card in the mail. So all these, little touches, make a big difference. And my team, truly enjoys the job, versus just straight cold calling and doing these things in a traditional manner. It becomes more fun. It becomes more personal. And so that's really what the relationships are all about.
Yeah, the two words I wrote down when you were talking there is that, clients and employees, the new Gen Z employees, they're looking for more meaningful relationship, which is fulfilling. So it gives them something beyond salary, beyond promotion. I still think they would still quite like it in some ways, but that's only if they feel that they want a career for life in the same company. But looks like there's a 2-year horizon that we've got. So organizations are being challenged that with as well. So I really do get that. That's moving back. And of course, you can enable more of that in a much more efficient way now with digital technologies, whether it's social, whether it's generative AI, and so on. And yet you're blending, if you like, what you talked about there, the old with the new. And I want to go back to that old is new again. So, and I want to talk about you. You're not old. I'm not saying that you're not old, but you
I feel
you
it.
you had that traditional mentality, right? Promotion, career, blah blah. HSBC, great company.
Yeah.
2008, the floor falls out beneath you, and you're sort of reinventing yourself, and you're becoming new. So, so how I want to ask you this first of all, how have you changed and evolved as a leader if you consider yourself back then when you talk about those old drivers versus where you are now?
Yeah. So as a leader, I'm all about developing other leaders. And really this starts with the recruiting process. I'm looking for people who are underdogs, who have that chip on their shoulder, who have something to prove, right? Just have competitive spirit in their DNA, and want to be a leader. And so, really to me, I'm always looking to replace myself, and ultimately that's the key to scaling any business. But, from a leadership standpoint, it's really all about empowering the team,
Mm-hmm.
sharing a clear vision as to where we want to go. And then more importantly, the why, that it's
Yeah.
important that we get there. Everything, value driven, customer focused, right? It's all about the client experience and the customer value and what they receive and being unique and memorable. But then ultimately, everyone on my team, I tell them you all have the same title, and it's CEO. It's CEO of your desk. And I
Mm.
want you to think of your desk as your own business inside the shell of my business. And I really treat them that way. And we work hard to business plan. They each create their own little mini business plan. Big difference between me telling them what I need them to do and them telling me what they want to do and why it's important to them. And then I can shift from that manager to truly a coach consultant,
Mm. Mm.
right? And Jeremy, you said this was important, and this is how, I think we can get you there. And would you agree? And what are our next action steps? And then going back to where we started the conversation, just focusing on what's important each day. And then I can step in and really within 5-10 minutes, just have a daily conversation with them to recap the good and bad and obstacles and struggles from yesterday and how we can improve and what they need from me, and then just get out of their way. And when you hire the right people and you have a clear vision and you're there in that coaching consulting, way, and give them permission to make mistakes, almost encourage them to make mistakes, so that we can, learn what's working and what's not. Use that failure as feedback and how we can improve. So really from a leadership standpoint, where I've evolved is I started like most do, just trying to be all things to all people all the time and wear all the hats. And I was driving myself mad, probably my family too. And really just started trusting people, and empowering them and understanding that it's not going to be perfect and that's okay.
That's right. Yeah, again, so much resonates. I go back to your point about empowerment and empowering others. And as a leader, that's very much in my DNA. I talk about unleashing the inner CEO.
Mm,
Um, Almost the same as you
yeah.
from that perspective, is because it's considering talent with a small t, I would call it, is that everybody's got potential there. It might be different to you, it might be not in the same way, but that sort of diversity of thought is as important, and a new way of looking to then help me say, yes, go and experiment with that. Like you say, go and fail a bit. It's very much the growth mindset, in fact, what you're describing there. While the client, as you so rightly said, is at the center of what we do and how we create value and even new value for them. So if I were to go to your employees now, your mini CEOs, let's call them, right now, how would they describe you as a leader rather than you describing you?
It's a great question. And I wish you could ask them that. But, I think what you would get is trust, that I'm a trusting leader, because I am, and supportive, I always have their back. I tell them all the time that as long as you're doing it legally, compliantly, and ethically, that you can't do it wrong. And it took me a long time to stop trying to turn everyone into me. And that was one of my mistakes early. I'm like, why can't you just do it this way? Or I do it that way. It's not, and realizing that everyone, I love your talents with a lowercase t, and everyone brings a different lens, and everyone brings a different set of values. And my goal is to put everyone in position to win. And sometimes I'll mess it up, but it's an Einstein quote. He said that, if you tell a goldfish to climb a tree, he'll live his whole life thinking he's a failure, he's a loser. And sometimes we put our goldfish in position to climb trees, and it's just not fair to them. And so just, again, having those honest conversations, building that trust, and allowing them to be honest with me. I encourage them to come to me. I said, look, just the way we do things now is the way we do things now, but it may not be right. So if you see something different, or a better opportunity to create some efficiencies in the process, please bring them to me. And they do. And I also would challenge them to hold me accountable. We talk a lot about accountability and leadership, and accountability starts with the leader. And I think that's the part that we lose sight of. A lot of times I hear from leaders, well, the expectation is this, and they're not doing that, or how do I get them to do that? And step one is, where are you in the process? Are you showing up for them as the best version of yourself, as a leader every single day with consistency? Because accountability is really about consistency. So it's a long answer, but I think what you would get is trust and honesty, that they would probably say I bring to them.
Yeah, I'm getting that coming across as well. That trust, that very being very open, and a huge belief in others is something that resonates as you speak as well. Very collaborative and very open to feedback yourself. It's how we receive as much as how we offer feedback, which is important to those who work with us, of course. And I do like the analogy of a goldfish climbing a tree. That's going to stay with me for a while, that one.
You'll have to Google what the actual quote was. It was Albert Einstein who said it. And
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd not come across that one actually.
he's
I didn't
clearly
realize it's
smarter than
Einstein.
me.
Now I
So
feel quite yeah, right, excellent. But I do get it. So we're drawing to the end here, and
yeah.
we've got many leaders who are tuning in who will resonate with this. That sort of almost like getting back to that human heart, bringing people with you, unleashing the power of people. What would be maybe the kind of 2 or 3 tips that you would like to leave those tuning in with that will help them make progress?
Yeah, I think the key, and I've used the phrase a few times, but I live it, is to become strategic and intentional with the actions and activities that you are doing, to strengthen relationships. And the little things, as cliche as it is, they really do mean the most. And sometimes we lose sight of the fact, that little thoughtful gift, that candy, that one of your employees loves when you're at the store, like, grab it. That catch them doing something right and make a big deal about it. Surprise them with things that aren't in the business plan or the comp plan or their salary package. um, just recognize them. Again, people want to be seen and heard and feel valued. So literally, on my calendar are reminders for me to do nice things for my people, because look, we get pulled in a million different directions as entrepreneurs, as leaders, business owners, business leaders, and the whirlwind of the day happens every single day. And if we don't create time and space to have a little, and it could be a 60-second moment that makes a huge difference, in the day of one of the people that you're leading. So I guess really what I'd love to leave your audience with is, create that time and space and get strategic and intentional with the little things that you're doing on a consistent basis. If you want people to respect you, you got to respect them first, and you've got to take genuine interest in them first. And so, you know, that I'd love to say, like, oh, I'm just a natural leader who does nice things, but no, like, I have to work at it and plan and prepare for it, or else I'll forget. and, with family included, I mean, it's my wife and I just celebrated an anniversary, and I had on my calendar, like, don't forget to buy your wife something for her anniversary, like weeks in advance. And if I didn't, I would forget.
Yeah, what's interesting is it is remembering the little things have such a great impact when you describe it in the way that you're doing as well. And diarising this, it's the same way that you almost describe how you work with your clients and your prospects as well. This drip feed of communication 12 times a year in different ways, different types of messaging, maybe surprising them sometimes with that. It really does make a difference. I'm sure that many of those listening will want to connect with you, find out more. So just please tell us how they do that, and just remind us about the book that's out around your referral system and where they get hold of it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jeremy. So my website is my name, scottgrates.com. And the book it was just released on August 13th. It's Referrals Done Right. It is traditionally published and available at all major retailers and wherever people buy books. So, the whole system and the 5-prong approach and really creating that where we started, and what I, touched on but didn't dive into, is you have to be referable, right? Nobody's entitled to a relationship or a referral. And you hear me talk about us having to earn it. And that's very intentional. I say that all the time, but we're not, entitled to anything. We have to earn it. And really where the book starts is all about how do you set up, this value-driven company with people who share in this message, the value-driven messengers, and create this culture of referrals, and the understanding that everything we do is, yes, I want Jeremy's business, but more importantly, I want to be so awesome to Jeremy that he can't wait to tell all his friends and family about us. And that just comes with focus and consistency. So that's how we set it up. And then we get into the nitty gritty in the later chapters. So Referrals Done Right is the book.
Thank you very much. And I like that concept of value-driven messengers.
Yeah.
What a great thought to leave everybody. Scott Grates, thanks very much for joining me.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks for tuning in to the Rethink Leadership podcast with me, Jeremy Blain. Please like, comment, and support us on your favourite platform, and subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch as well as listen to each episode.